p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I will entertain a motion and a second to approve our agenda for today. Director Wilford, Director Huntley, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of conflict of interest today? Seeing none, if anything does arise, please advise the chair. We have no delegations, and that brings us right into our minutes of our last meeting held June 19th, 2025. Can we get a mover and a seconder to adopt those minutes? Director Boyko, Director Black, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Does anyone have any business that is arising from those minutes? Seeing none. That moves us right into reports for approval. We have a report 2025-046, our draft procurement and asset disposal policy. And I will turn this over to CAO Lovie Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, in the spirit of continuous improvement and reviewing policy work here at the authority, this is one that has been identified as an opportunity to enhance and strengthen, is a draft procurement and asset disposal policy. Just a couple of points I wanted to raise over and above the actual document itself is that there is a recommendation to move the board threshold for approvals from 40,000 to 50,000, so a small increase there. However, as per our governing bylaws, which the board did approve at our June meeting, any expense over 25,000 does require a chair or a vice chair signature. And that doesn't happen a lot here at the authority. There's only a couple of expenses that actually take us over that. So even though the board approval is recommended to move to 50, it still has a checks and balances that the board chair or the vice chair sign any checks over 25. Well, there is one amendment with the policy that I would like to also bring forward, Mr. Chair, and that is on the first page of the actual new policy, and it is the second goal. And in the spirit of improvement, just a small amendment in the sense where it says and provides second sentence, provide services and the lowest total costs, to changing that to read to provide cost effectiveness. So not in all cases will we take the lowest cost. There might be other considerations when doing that. However, the goal is for cost effectiveness overall. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that, and thank you for that noted amendment. Do we have any questions or comments on our draft procurement and asset disposal policy? Seeing none at this time. The recommended motion is that report 2025-046 draft procurement and asset disposal policy be received, that the board of directors approve the procurement and asset disposal policy, and that the board of directors rescind past purchasing policies approved by the board motions 09416 and 06022, and that staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to these resolutions. We had a mover and a seconder, Director Baldwin, Director Taylor. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Moves us to item B2, 2025-047, our contract award for 2025 ice storm cleanup. Everyone has received the report. I will turn it over to CAO Lovey Smith if you have anything else to add to the report.
Not to add to the report, just for context, Mr. Chair, that the total claim that we did submit was just a little bit above $250,000 worth of tree damage and tree work that was required. Over that time, staff have been able to address some of that work, but the actual work that is required by the contractor is above our capacities. Requires specialized equipment to remove those trees. So working through a number of paperwork that the insurance company had, they have now given us the up limit to spend $100,000, recognizing that we've already spent $28,000. So the reimbursement will be for 125. We just have 100 left as an up limit.
Thank you for that. Do we have any discussion on that report, the contract award? Director Black? And you're just still on mute there, Ron.
Sorry about that. Two screens going here, and one covered the audio button. Yeah, I mean, we've just gone through a procurement policy update, and how does this? I understand the decision making. They stepped up prior to the when we couldn't get people to come. But how does this align with our procurement policy?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it aligns perfect in the sense that the board is actually approving this contract versus the dollar value. And in the case of demonstrating the claim to the insurance company, we were just asked to provide a series of quotes for that work. So all of the quotes that add up to that $250,000 have been provided to the insurance company, which is how they established then going through the process of the threshold. So I am bringing this to the board to endorse, which is very much what we did in 2023 with the Dureco cleanup that we had, because to go out and get additional quotes is not feasible in terms of getting the work done this year and using the funds from the insurance claim. So it's a governance decision to enter into the single source, recognizing the funds have been already cleared through the insurance process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, CAO. Director Huntley?
Yeah, through you, Chair, just a quick question. So how long do we anticipate this work to take to get for this tree company? How long's the cleanup?
Mr. Chair, we have given that we have more work than we have insurance coverage for, we've prioritized the areas, and we're looking to have this completed by the beginning of November, all of the work in the various locations through it. So things, criteria like public facing, risk management issues, and issues specific that we cannot address were the criteria that we went through to identify those properties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this report? Seeing none, the recommended motion is that be it resolved that report 2025-047 contract award 2025 ice storm cleanup be received, that the board of directors award Rockwood Tree Services Limited with a contract limit of $100,000, and that the chair of the board and CAO be authorized to execute the contract, that all staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to these resolutions. Can we get a mover and a seconder? Vice Chair Duguay. Director Huntley, any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That moves us on to item B3, 2025-048, our 2023-24 climate change report card and 2025-2027 climate change strategy. In the report, we do have a GIS story map that everyone hopefully has taken a look at. It was done very well, and I think it illustrates our climate change strategy quite well. I will pass the floor over to CAO Lovie-Smith if there's anything else that needs to be added to this report.
No, Mr. Chair. Moving to the 2-year report card has been helpful, but then also now have one of our objectives, performance objectives, was to actually update the strategy, which we've done. And we've also put some timeframes around it, realizing that climate change is changing. So to have a 10-year strategy actually is really not useful in this world anymore. So happy to answer any questions that you have. Our next steps as staff, we've identified a number of ways to achieve the actual strategy, which then obviously the reports will come forward to the board as we move through that process.
Thank you, CAO. Do we have any questions or comments on our climate change strategy and report card? Seeing none at this time, the recommended motion is that report 2025-048, our 2023-24 climate change report card, and 2025 to 2027 climate change strategy be received, that the board approve the 2023-2024 climate change report card and 2025 to 2027 climate change strategy, and that staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to this resolution. Mover and a seconder. Director Black. Director Wilford. Any further comments or discussion? And all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That moves us on to section C of our agenda, reports for information. C1 is 2025-049, our 2025 second quarter performance objectives and reporting. And I will pass the floor over to CAO Lovie-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, our second quarter performance objectives and reporting. You will also notice at this time, I'm bringing forward the objectives and the planning and permitting report. I am planning to bring a comprehensive report at the September meeting, which is what I would normally do in October when we bring a forecast forward. However, I can say we're sitting in a strong financial position right now. So with respect to the objectives, things are moving along fine. I am not. Things are tracking well, Mr. Chair. I do always flag that we are monitoring the permits in terms of things. And just again, for context with that, we monitor it obviously a little bit closer at a staff level. For context for the board, to date, in 2023, we would have had 235, and in 2024, we had 128, and right now we are sitting at 138 permits to date. So that's January. This report speaks to the quarter, but that speaks to year to date. And Mr. Chair actually asked me a great question in one of our meetings, and that was how many of those permits are county issued, and that's 30. So of the 138, 30 of those are issued to the county. And so again, understanding our permits and the volume of permits is one thing. The other part is understanding the revenue that is attached to that. So municipalities and the county do not pay for the permits. but they do contribute to the workload. There's only a portion of that that contribute to the revenue that feeds into our operating budget, for context. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have on the quarterly performance objectives, and before I move into the planning report.
Director Boyko?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Not looking for precise numbers, obviously, but I'm looking at the Conservation Lands Program, Beavermead, Warsaw, and Lakefield campgrounds. I know there's been a number of challenges this year with getting started because it was so soon after the ice storm. And then there's been a number of challenges because of the drought and then the excessive heat. I'm just wondering if anecdotally you'd like to comment at all on how things are going at Warsaw Caves and Beavermead and Lakefield. Beavermead, I know last year had some interesting people who chose to use Beavermead in interesting ways. So I just wonder how it is going in the three campgrounds, given all the challenges that you and your staff are facing.
Through you, Mr. Chair, as I do also keep the chair and the vice chair regularly updated in our meetings, all three campgrounds are doing very well. We have not experienced some of the challenges that we encountered in past seasons, and all three campgrounds opened up in time. With respect to Warsaw, they just would not have had access to all the trails that are connected to the actual conservation area. But all three campgrounds opened, and they have been operating very well in terms of things. We have a great staff group for all of those campgrounds this year as well.
That's great news. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions or comments on our performance objectives? Seeing none, Jeanette, oh, sorry, Director Taylor.
There, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'm having I was slow getting the clicker going there. Jeanette, in view of the level 2 low water declaration that we just made, is there any changes to the water usage that campers can enjoy at the campgrounds that we manage?
Mr. Chair, no, we haven't made any changes with respect to that. So again, with respect to Lakefield and or City of Peterborough and Beavermead, those directions would come from those municipalities. And at Warsaw, it's we are okay with our own water supply right now. The one thing that we do work very, very closely, and so this was enacted before the actual the drought in that sense, is the fire bans. So it being so dry, the other side of that coin is not having any campfires. And so we worked and communicated very closely with all of our municipalities to ensure that campers understood that and enforcing the no burn. It's not just campfires, but no burning in the campfires. It does play out very significantly at Warsaw. You're in the woods. Right, literally. So it plays out there very much, but we do enforce that. So that's the only really side of that, if you will.
Thank you, Director. Any other comments, questions? Jeanette, do you have any additions for our Appendix B planning and permitting report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a note of one comment, and that is on the actual planning application reviews. So at the top, it notes that 80 planning applications reviewed. It's actually 108 as reported in the quarterly report. It's 108 in that time period. And I also have come to understand that this type of report is not necessarily always common with all of our CAs. And so we've actually gotten a bit of a kudos or shout out with respect to the transparency and accountability for this permits. I will also add that at the June meeting, the board did receive the report with respect to Ontario Reg 4124. And as directed by the board, I have sent that information and a covering letter to all of the member municipalities. So hopefully that will find its way also onto your council agendas for just information and transparency and accountability.
Thank you. Director, oh, everything just moved, sorry. Director Black.
Thank you. Through your chair. Yeah, just looking at the stats page, the first slide where it has the 63 permits issued between April and June. I think the minor section column didn't add across. The number of 92 below is right, but I don't think the numbers from the Q2 were actually added, if I'm reading this right. 92 is correct. 59 for the quarter is correct. But the column of year-to-date numbers, there's 5 in Q2, and year-to-date we have 1. If you look at the top
thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly will have another look at this report to ensure that it's accurate.
Yeah, could be a formula not working right.
Thank you, Director.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? I do concur with CAO. It is nice to see this report. It gives a good visual of where we track on permits and planning coming in and the time going out. So especially our last slide where it sees where we compare with the timelines and from the province and from Conservation Ontario. So it does give a good visual. Seeing no more comments or questions, the motion reads, be it resolved that report number 2025-049, our 2025 second quarter performance objectives and reporting be received for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Director Huntley, Director Ashmore, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That moves us to item C2, our 2025-050 CAO Secretary Treasurer Monthly Activity Report. And I will pass the floor over to our CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So since our last meeting, there has been a busy couple of weeks filled with great stuff. We have concluded our budget development work here at the Authority, and that will be presented at the September 25th meeting. At this point, I'm just recommending a small, modest increase. I also participated in the dam inspections, and I'm going to prepare a report for information at the September meeting. It was very, very useful to be out in the field with staff and also our consultant, DM Wills, to have conversations around the dams. Also from a maintenance perspective, but also from an asset management perspective. With respect to the campgrounds, I did include a chart here with just the bookings. So again, the operations and the administration are working well, but I also did give the directors a picture or a snapshot of the actual bookings. And again, so you see Beavermead doing very well. Again, more higher bookings than last year as well. So I would like to also speak to the lean review. So this morning we had a staff session. This is a review. There are 3 conservation authorities. We are one, so Lake Simcoe, Grand River, and ourselves. And we were asked by Conservation Ontario to be one of those pilots to go through a lean review of our processes and our systems that we use. And the staff were very engaged through this. Conservation Ontario has hired the consultant and pays for the consultant to do that work. And then the concept is that after we've gone through our process mapping and understanding things, then that will be shared across all 36 conservation authorities. And so while our processes are working really well, we also took the opportunity to see where we can find improvements. And that was what the session was doing this morning. And staff came back very, very engaged and seeing opportunities. We did have for Director Black, the Young's Point, Peter Robinson turned out very well. We worked very closely with the family and the signage and having that conservation area cleaned up and ready to go. And I know that all of that work was deeply appreciated in the communication with that. I do want to just highlight where our board meetings are potentially scheduled for right now, which is the September 25th. It's in person and it's at the Rotary Education Center at the River View Zoo. We've been in that room before. And then again, November. So those are the two pending board meetings that we have. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would like to sort of end this report. I'm very pleased with what I want to show the board. It's different, something different for us. We've never really done this before. So it's related to the Jackson Creek floodplain mapping. And in part, we wanted to take the opportunity to also explain what floodplain mapping is, why it's important, and put an information education video together. It is very specific to Jackson Creek. However, it also takes in what are the regulations, what are the things that we consider when we are developing the mapping. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Parker if she can play the video, and I'm also going to give her the kudos for pulling this together. She not only directed, but she was the editor for this. So it's about 5 minutes, Mr. Chair, if I can indulge the board on this video. Shelby, we don't have sound.
Jackson Creek is a large part of the Otonabee Conservation Watershed. It includes some very scenic areas such as the Jackson Creek Trail that takes you from the heart of downtown up into the headwaters of the creek. It traverses some beautiful terrain, bodies of water, and wetlands. It provides easy access for recreation, but also to simply step into nature. But we need to keep in mind that as with any river, there lies the very real risk of flooding. A floodplain is any area of land that can be affected during a flood or high water. Floodplain mapping is the exercise of accurately drawing these limits on maps, and we call it the regulatory floodplain. So why do floodplain mapping? As a conservation authority, understanding the risks associated with natural hazards, such as flooding, is one of our prime mandates. Jackson Creek flows through downtown Peterborough, the historic and commercial heart of the community. The previous mapping was over 35 years old, and a lot has changed in that time. So updating the flood mapping in the downtown was important for Otonabee conservation. Many will remember the flooding that happened in 2004. Over 500 basements flood, over $100 million worth of damage to property and infrastructure. So why do we do updates? To ensure we understand the real risk to people and property. On a floodplain map, you can see what the relationship is between your property and the floodplain.
Flood mapping techniques have improved a lot over the years with technology. We use topographic information of the landscape to understand the shape of the earth, and that's collected generally with ground survey, but also with LiDAR survey from airplanes. LiDAR is a laser-based application that gives us the exact elevations of the ground around the creek. The accuracy of LiDAR is incredible. Total station and GPS equipment are used to survey underwater. When surveyors make a transect, they need to be in or near or on the water, But some areas that's almost impossible, so the LiDAR data is used instead. What we're looking for are changes in slope, so that we can make cross sections and then we connect the dots to get the overall shape of the channel and floodplains. We put these together inside of the computer, and then we can run simulated flood events to understand what would happen when a flood occurs.
Autonomy conservation regulates development in and adjacent to natural hazards like floodplains. And through that program, we look to guide informed and responsible decision making. Within the downtown area of Peterborough, much of the floodplain areas have been developed and paved, leading to rainfall flowing into the river much more quickly than under natural conditions. The flood risk to downtown Peterborough from Jackson Creek has been understood for quite some time, and Autonomy Conservation and the City of Peterborough have taken steps to reduce the flood risk downtown by reducing flood flows and directing flows away from people and property.
The weir might not look like much from above ground, but underneath there's a whole lot of structure built to withstand large-scale flooding. Its purpose is to hold back water during flooding, slowing the flow of the river, and reducing flood risk downstream within downtown Peterborough. Floodplain extents could potentially be larger than what is shown on the floodplain maps during the most extreme storms. The Timmins storm was the largest recorded storm within central and northern Ontario, and is used as the regulatory flood event within Autonomy conservation as it balances the need to protect life and property while still allowing development in lower risk areas. A lot of effort has been made to protect downtown Peterborough from another disaster, but a large storm could still overwhelm infrastructure and cause flooding, which is represented in our floodplain maps. While the infrastructure improvements have not eliminated flood risk, they have reduced the frequency and severity of flooding within Peterborough. But with climate change, the prospect of a storm larger than the regulatory storm will continue to increase.
We need to keep in mind as a community, what are the impacts of a changing climate? Building new models with new technology allows us the ability to look at larger storms too, beyond the Timmins storm. Over time, watershed development has increased the proportion of rainfall that runs off the landscape into the rivers. Climate change is projected to increase that amount of rainfall. More intense storms can put key areas or infrastructure at risk, and we want to understand what these risks are. Once flood risks are clearly understood, both government agencies and property owners are better equipped to take proactive measures. Examples could be to continue to explore opportunities to enhance infrastructure, strengthening resilience to flooding, and reducing that risk. Use the mapping. If you are in a floodplain, you will want to understand that risk, and that can help you prepare. Another part of what we do is flood forecasting and warning. If you hear us say that flooding could happen, prepare for it. Have a plan. Protect yourself. Protect your property. Learn more at autonomyconservation.com.
Wow, good job.
They did they? They did. And we did it with our own resources. Yeah, our own talents and our own staff. And it's something new for us, right? We're trying really hard to help our communities understand that and the importance of it. And so this was part of what we were doing. So I'm very happy with what they've accomplished.
No, that's a great piece, and it's a great piece for information, and it's a great piece to be able to share. So board members could share that information to their own constituents, whether it relates to, I know this one relates to Jackson Creek specifically, but it has information that is good to know for sort of all floodplains.
We'll have it posted on our website. We're giving the board a preview. We're having it posted on our website tomorrow.
Perfect. Director Boyko?
Yeah, two things through you, Mr. Chair. First, thank you for that film. I think it's very educational. I hope that there is some way that it could be marketed to draw people to the website, because that's an important resource that I think lots of people should see. The second thing that I want to do is to congratulate you. You mentioned that it's done on in-house. There is so much that your staff does in-house that would be so much easier just to bring in a consultant. Easier, but way more expensive. So I just wanted to bring kudos to you and your staff for all of the in-house work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and thank you to staff. Vice Chair Duguay?
Thank you, Chair Metcalf. Jeanette, well done. Perhaps as a means of communicating this to the public, we could share the link by way of an email directly to all member municipalities. They could post it on their own web. Well, it's Jackson Creek, it's still floodplain. But I would see this as something that could be easily promoted by way of cities' websites. We have 1,900 subscribers to Connect Peterborough. Does Otonabee Region Conservation Authority use LinkedIn?
So, Mr. Chair, yes, we do have social media platforms, and I know our communication staff are going to do like a little mini version of this to put out as well, to a teaser to get them.
That would be very good, but I think sharing it to municipalities in its full form, encouraging member municipalities to doesn't cost anything to post it. And I think Chair Metcalf, you said the parameters and expectations and how we treat floodplains they might have their own idiosyncrasies, but why the mapping is relevant. Jackson Creek is one, and there are other floodplains we deal with. So let's share it amongst the member municipalities. And again, congratulations to staff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other comments or questions regarding either the video or the full report? Director Black?
Yeah, thank you. Through your chair. Yeah, the video was great, and I agree, sharing it with municipalities, and make sure you boast about the fact that Member Boyko came forward with saying it was done in-house. We all have really good staff on our communications teams at the townships and at the county, and I know the county does some of this themselves, but that's excellent. That's an excellent presentation, and the quality is as good as any other professional group that might charge a lot more to have it done. So congratulate on that. A couple of other items I'd like to thank you for and congratulate you on. The Youngs Point Conservation Area, well done. Thank you very much. Timely. I think the sign went up a couple of days before the big Sunday event, but there were literally 400 or 500 people that came out to that day. And I walked the trail because it is connected to both crossings of the dam and the lock. So it actually connects a circular walk around the area. So that was fantastic. We have a nice new sign there as well, well represented for the public for a long time coming. So again, thank you for that. The other item that really drew my attention was the lean review. Again, congratulations on being picked to do that. The county recently just created a new position around productivity, black belt and lean. That's my background as a master black belt in Six Sigma and an advanced lean practitioner. When I see this type of thing happening, it's also happening. Our Board of Health is doing the same thing, training black belts and green belts. And the process mapping that will be done, and I'm sure this will be a fairly basic approach to it. Really does help to identify really non-value added steps in a process and requirements. And you know what? It really engages until you engage the staff in reviewing how you do things. You really don't know that there are things in the process that really could be excluded and make a process happen faster. So people think they do productivity, but until you actually bring in somebody to do the process mapping and get the staff to talk about what they're doing, you don't find those efficiencies until you do that. So again, congratulations on being picked for that process. I think our conservation authority will certainly benefit from it, and sharing that with other conservation authorities, I think will be greatly appreciated. So again, congrats on that one.
Thank you, Director. Any further comments or questions on our Secretary Treasurer Monthly Activity Report? Seeing none, our recommended motion is be it resolved the board report number 2025-050, CAO Secretary Treasurer Monthly Activity Report be received for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Director Black, Vice Chair Duguay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. That moves us to item C3, 2025-051, our Communications and Media Report. I'll trust that everyone has had time to look at that report. Is there any questions or comments on it? I will just comment that it's good to see that we continue to have some good media reports and some communication out of our autonomy office. It's good to get that knowledge out, just like we will when we send that video out as well. So good for that. Seeing no other comments, can I get a mover and a seconder to receive that report? Director Baldwin, Director Boyko, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moves us on to item D of our agenda, our correspondence. Do we have any questions or comments on any of our correspondence? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to receive, a mover and a seconder. Vice Chair Duguay, Director Wilford, all in favor to receive. And that is carried. Thank you. And item E, do we have anything for open forum? Seeing none, that will move us to item F, our closed session reports. We'll just need a motion, a mover and a seconder to go into closed session. Director Wilford, Director Huntley, all those in favor?